In the midst of noise, true wisdom can only be heard in silence. When you first hear this, it might sound like a simple statement. But if you really think about it, there's a profound truth here that many of us overlook. You see, we live in a world that's constantly buzzing with activity. Our days are filled with conversations, notifications, music, and the relentless hum of everyday life. It's like we're all caught up in this whirlwind of sound and movement, barely stopping to catch our breath. But have you ever noticed what happens when all that noise finally fades away? When the world gets quiet and there's nothing but stillness? At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even unsettling, as if something is missing. But then something incredible starts to happen. In that silence, we begin to hear things we never noticed before. Not just the sounds around us, but the whispers of our own hearts, the thoughts that have been buried under layers of distractions, and the truths about who we really are. Let me share with you a personal experience. There was a time in my life when I was constantly on the go. From one meeting to the next, always moving, always talking, always thinking about what needed to be done next. I felt like I was achieving a lot, but deep down, I also felt exhausted and strangely disconnected. It was as if I was living my life on autopilot, doing what was expected, saying what needed to be said, but never really feeling present in any moment. Then, one day, something changed. I found myself in a situation where there was nothing to do but wait. My flight was delayed for hours, and there was no internet, no phone signal, nothing to distract me. At first, I was frustrated. I thought about all the things I could have been doing, all the time I was wasting. But after a while, I realized I had a choice. I could either keep stewing in my frustration, or I could just be. So I decided to just be. Closed my eyes, took a few deep breaths, and for the first time in a long while, I allowed myself to simply exist in silence. And in that silence, something remarkable happened. I started to hear my own thoughts more clearly. I began to notice things about myself, things I hadn't paid attention to before. I felt a deep sense of calm wash over me, a feeling of peace that I hadn't felt in a very long time. That moment of silence was a turning point for me. It was a realization that silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a space where we can reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. It's a place where clarity and wisdom reside, waiting for us to listen. Think about it. When's the last time you truly embraced silence? Not just a moment of quiet when you're alone in your car or waiting in line, but a deliberate choice to turn off all the noise and just be with yourself. What did you find there? Did you find discomfort, a restlessness that made you want to turn the noise back on? Or did you find a sense of peace, a moment of clarity that gave you a new perspective? You see, silence can be uncomfortable because it strips away all the distractions. It forces us to confront ourselves, to sit with our thoughts and emotions without any outside interference. But it's also incredibly powerful for that exact reason. In silence, we can hear the truth that we often drown out with our busy lives. We can hear the quiet voice within us that knows what we truly want, what we need, and who we really are. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I can't afford to be silent. I've got too much going on. I don't have the time to sit in silence. And I get it. Life is busy, and there are always things that need our attention. But what if I told you that the very things you're seeking, clarity, peace, direction, are actually found in those moments of silence? It's in silence that we connect with the universe, with something greater than ourselves. It's in silence that we tap into our inner wisdom, the part of us that knows what we truly need to thrive. And the best part is, it doesn't require hours of meditation or retreats into the mountains. It just requires a few moments of stillness, a willingness to turn off the noise and listen. So I ask you again, when was the last time you truly embraced silence? When was the last time you allowed yourself to just be, without any agenda, without any distractions? What might you discover about yourself if you made silence a regular part of your life? Imagine waking up in the morning, and instead of reaching for your phone, you spend a few minutes in silence, just listening to your breath, feeling the sensations in your body, and connecting with your thoughts. Imagine how different your day might feel if you took a moment of silence before a big meeting or a difficult conversation. Imagine the clarity you might find, the insights that might come to you, the peace that might settle in your heart. Silence is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a gift, a doorway to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It's a space where we can hear the whispers of our soul, where we can find the answers we're looking for, not from the outside world, but from within. So, my friends, I encourage you to embrace the power of silence. Make it a part of your daily life. Start small if you need to, just a few minutes here and there. But make it a priority, because in the silence you will find everything you're looking for. In the silence you will find yourself. And when you find yourself, you will find everything you need to live a life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. Let's take a moment to truly understand what silence means. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, the gaps between words, or the moments when everything around us seems to stop. Silence is a state of being, a place where clarity and understanding are born. It's where the mind quiets down and the heart starts to speak. It's a powerful yet often overlooked force in our lives. When we think about silence, we often think of it as something passive, something that just happens when we're not doing anything else. But silence is far from passive. It's an active state of awareness, the conscious decision to turn down the volume of the world and tune into the subtle, but profound messages that come from within. It's in these moments of silence that we get to experience our true selves, unfiltered and unencumbered by the expectations and demands of the outside world. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence, without distractions, without an agenda, just being present with yourself? Not many of us make a habit of it yet. It's in those silent moments that we start to see ourselves more clearly. It's like looking into a calm, still lake. When the water is still, you can see straight to the bottom. You can see the reflection of your own face, clear and undistorted. But when the water is stirred up, when it's filled with ripples and waves, the reflection is distorted, and we can't see what lies beneath the surface. Silence works the same way for our minds and our souls. When we constantly bombarded by noise, by information, by the hustle and bustle of life, our inner waters are stirred up, and we lose sight of who we really are. When we allow ourselves to be still, to sit in silence, those waters settle. The noise fades away, and suddenly we can see ourselves more clearly. We can hear our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own truth. I remember a time in my life when I was going through a particularly challenging period. There's so many voices telling me what I should do, who I should be, and how I should act. I felt lost in the noise, unable to hear my own voice. Then, one day, I decided to spend some time in silence. I turned off my phone. I went out into nature, and I just sat there in silence. At first, my mind was racing, filled with all the things I needed to do, all the worries and fears that had been consumed. But after a while, as I continued to sit in that silence, something shifted. My mind began to quiet, and in that quiet, I started to hear something else. I started to hear my own voice again, the voice that had been drowned out by all the noise. And in hearing that voice, I found clarity. I found peace. I found direction. This is the power of silence. It's a gateway to self-discovery, a tool that allows us to peel back the layers and see what lies beneath. It helps us understand ourselves better because in silence there's no place to hide. We can't distract ourselves with noise or busyness. We're faced with our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own truths. And while that might seem daunting, it's actually incredibly liberating. Let me share with you a metaphor that might help illustrate this. Imagine you have a beautiful, intricate painting. Over the years, this painting has been covered with dust and grime. It's been buried under layers of dirt, so much so that you can't even see the original painting anymore. But then someone comes along with a cloth and starts gently wiping away the dirt. Slowly, layer by layer, the original painting is revealed in all its beauty and detail. That's what silence does for us. It wipes away the layers of noise, of distraction, of other people's expectations, so that we can see ourselves for who we truly are. Now, I want to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. What truths about yourself have you been avoiding? What might you discover if you allowed yourself to be silent? These are not easy questions, but they're important ones. Because the truth is, we all have things we avoid thinking about. We all have parts of ourselves that we hide away, afraid to face them. But in silence, there's no hiding. In silence, we're forced to confront those parts of ourselves, to face those truths, and to deal with them. But we allow ourselves to be silent. When we face those truths, we also give ourselves a chance to heal, to grow, to become more of who we really are. We start to understand ourselves better, to see what drives us, what holds us back, what we truly want out of life. We start to see our strengths, our weaknesses, our hopes, and our fears. And in seeing these things, we can start to work with them rather than against them. We can start to live more authentically, more aligned with our true selves. You see, silence isn't just about being quiet. It's about creating a space for self-discovery and growth. It's about giving ourselves the opportunity to tune out the noise of the world and tune into the wisdom of our own hearts. And when we do that, when we truly listen to ourselves, we discover things we never knew were there. We find answers to questions we didn't even know we had. We find direction where before there was confusion. We find peace where there was once turmoil. So, I encourage you to embrace silence as a tool for self-discovery. Make it a practice in your life. Start with just a few minutes a day, sitting in silence, being present with yourself. Notice what comes up for you. Notice the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations. Don't judge them, just observe. Allow yourself to be curious, to explore what's there. And as you do, you'll start to see yourself more clearly. You'll start to understand yourself better. You'll start to discover who you really are beneath all the noise. And remember, silence is not a one-time thing. It's not something you do once and then forget about. It's a practice, a foundation upon which everything else is built. It's the space where our desires and dreams are born, where our true selves are revealed. So, as we move forward, let's carry this understanding of silence with us. Let's use it to support our growth, to guide our decisions, to help us manifest the life we truly want. Because in the end, silence is not just the absence of noise. It's the presence of everything we need to be whole, to be happy, to be truly alive. Let's take a moment to talk about silence plays a crucial role in manifesting the life we want. Many of us have dreams and goals, things we deeply desire to bring into our lives, but often we find ourselves stuck, unsure of how to make these dreams a reality. We get lost in the chaos of everyday life, in the noise of what everyone else is doing, in the pressure to keep up with the world around us. And in all that noise, we lose sight of what we truly want, of what really matters to us. But here's the thing. When we allow ourselves to be silent, we create a space where our true desires can come to the surface. In silence, we strip away all the distractions, all the outside influences, and we're left with just ourselves and our thoughts. And in that stillness, we can begin to hear what our hearts are really saying. We can start to see our true intentions, the things we truly want to manifest in our lives, without the noise of the world telling us what we should want or who we should be. Think of silence as a clear, open field. When the field is cluttered with debris and noise, it's hard to see where to plant your seeds. But when the field is clear and open, you can see exactly where to place each seed, where to nurture them, and where to watch them grow. That's what silence does for our intentions. It clears the field of our mind so we can see where to plant the seeds of our dreams. It helps us focus our intentions so they're aligned with our true selves, not with what others think we should do or be. When we sit in silence and connect with our inner selves, we can ask ourselves, what do I really want? What are my deepest desires? What do I want to bring into my life? And in that silence, the answers come, not from the outside world, but from within, from a place of truth and authenticity. And when we're clear on our intentions, we can start to visualize them, to see them as if they're already happening. Visualization is a powerful tool in manifestation, especially when done in silence. When our minds are quiet, we can create a mental picture of our dreams and goals, seeing them in vivid detail, feeling the emotions associated with them, experiencing them as if they're already real. This kind of visualization goes beyond mere daydreaming. It's a deep, intentional practice that aligns our energy with the energy of what we want to manifest. Imagine for a moment a musician preparing for a performance. Before they step onto the stage, they take a moment of silence. They close their eyes and see themselves playing every note perfectly, feeling the music flow through them, seeing the audience's response. They're not just imagining it, they're experiencing it in their mind as if it's already happening. And that mental rehearsal, that visualization, sets the stage for the actual performance. It aligns their intention with their reality. Or think about a time when you were working on something important and you needed a moment to gather your thoughts. Maybe you were preparing for an important meeting or working on a project that required your full attention. You took a deep breath, closed your eyes, and allowed yourself a moment of silence. In that moment, you were able to focus your thoughts, to see what needed to be done, to feel the confidence to move forward. That's the power of silence and visualization working together. There are countless stories of people who have used silence and visualization to manifest their dreams. Take Thomas Edison, for example. It's said that he would sit in silence for hours, holding a small object in his hand. As he drifted into a light sleep, the object would fall and wake him up. And in that moment of waking silence, he would have flashes of insight, ideas for his inventions. He used silence to clear his mind and to allow new ideas to come in. Well, think about a woman I once met who had a dream of starting her own business. She was working a 9-to-5 job, feeling stuck and unfulfilled. She knew she wanted something more, but she wasn't sure what or how to make it happen. So, she started a daily practice of silence. Every morning, she would spend 15 minutes in silence, focusing on her breathing, clearing her mind, and allowing her thoughts to settle. In that silence, she started to see a vision of her own business, to feel the excitement of creating something from scratch, to see herself succeeding. She kept up this practice, visualizing her dream in silence every day. And over time, that dream became a reality. She left her job, started her business, and today, she's living the life she once only imagined. These stories aren't just about luck or chance. They're about the power of silence and intention. When we allow ourselves to be silent, we create a space for our true desires to come forward. We give ourselves the chance to see our path more clearly, to feel the energy of our dreams, and to align ourselves with the reality we want to create. Now I want to ask you, what dreams have you neglected? What desires have you pushed aside because you were too busy, too distracted, or too afraid to listen to them? And what might happen if you allowed yourself to be silent? Could silence be the key to bringing those dreams in reality? I encourage you to take some time to explore these questions. Find a quiet space, turn off all distractions, and allow yourself to sit in silence. Focus on your breathing, let go of any tension, and just be. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I want to bring into my life? And then listen. Listen to what comes up without judgment, without trying to fix or change anything. Just listen. And once you've connected with your true desires, take it a step further. Visualize them in your mind. See them as if they're already happening. Feel the emotions associated with them, the joy, the excitement, the fulfillment. Allow yourself to experience them in your mind in that state of silence. And as you do, you're aligning your energy with the energy of your desires. You're setting the stage for manifestation. Remember, manifestation isn't just about wishing for something to happen. It's about aligning yourself with what you want, setting clear intentions and taking inspired action. And silence is a powerful tool to help you do that. It clears the noise, focuses your intentions, and allows you to visualize your dreams with clarity and purpose. So how can we use this in our own lives? How can we incorporate silence into our decision-making processes, into our problem-solving strategies? It's simpler than you might think. The next time you're faced with a decision, try this. Before you do anything, take a moment of silence. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your mind become still. Don't force yourself to think about the problem. Just let go and allow yourself to be silent. You might find that in that moment of silence, the answer you've been searching for comes to you. Or maybe it doesn't come right away, and that's okay too. Sometimes the answers we need take time to reveal themselves. But by creating that space of silence, you're allowing those answers to come. You're giving yourself the gift of clarity, of a quiet mind that can see things as they truly are. I'd like you to reflect on your own experiences with decision making. Think about a time when you made a decision in a state of noise and confusion. How did that decision turn out? Was it the right one for you, or did you find yourself regretting it later on? Now think about a time when you made a decision from a place of silence, of calm, of clarity. How was that experience different? What was the outcome? It's interesting, isn't it? How much of a difference silence can make. When we allow ourselves to be silent, to step back from the chaos, we give ourselves the space to hear our own inner wisdom. we find answers that were there all along, just waiting for us to be still enough to hear them. Silence isn't just a tool for finding clarity in the moment. It's also a practice that can help us build a deeper connection with our inner selves. The more we practice silence, the more we tune into that inner voice, the more we trust our own guidance. And over time, this practice becomes a habit, a way of life. We learn to rely less on the noise of the world and more on the wisdom of our own hearts. As we continue on this path of exploring silence, let's not forget its spiritual dimensions. Silence is not just a practical tool for problem solving and decision making. It's also a doorway to something much greater, something beyond ourselves. When we allow ourselves to be silent, we open up to the possibility of connecting with the divine, of experiencing a sense of oneness with the universe. And in that connection, we find a deeper sense of peace, a greater understanding of our place in the world, and a profound sense of purpose. So, as we move forward, let's remember the power of silence. Let's use it to find clarity in our decisions, to solve problems with wisdom, and to connect with something greater than ourselves. Because in silence, we not only find the answers we're looking for, but we also find ourselves. And in finding ourselves, we find everything we need to live a life of purpose, peace, and fulfillment. Let's move to a place that many of us know deep in our hearts, but sometimes forget to visit. The spiritual dimension of silence. Silence isn't just a break from noise or a tool for solving problems. It's also a bridge to the divine, to something greater than ourselves. Throughout history, silence has been revered across all spiritual traditions as a sacred path to connect with the divine, the universe, or our higher selves. Think about it. Every spiritual tradition, in its own way, emphasizes the importance of silence. In Christianity, we see monks and nuns practicing contemplative silence to deepen their relationship with God. In Buddhism, there's the practice of silent meditation to connect with the inner self and achieve enlightenment. In Islam, there's the silent reflection that follows prayer, where one listens for the voice of God. And in Hinduism, silence is seen as the highest form of meditation, a way to merge with the universal spirit, the Atman. It's as if every path leads back to the same fundamental truth. In silence, we meet the divine. Why is that? Why do all these different traditions place such importance on silence? Because silence allows us to hear the voice of our soul. It quiets the mind, stills the constant chatter, and opens up a space where we can connect with that deeper part of ourselves that is always in tune with the divine. When we are silent, we align ourselves with the universal flow of life. We become like a calm lake, reflecting the sky, mirroring the infinite, and experiencing a profound sense of peace. Have you ever noticed how peaceful you feel after sitting in silence for a while? How the worries that seem so big suddenly feel small and manageable? That's because in silence, we tap into a deeper source of peace that is always within us. We begin to realize that we are not separate from the world around us, but a part of it. We are connected to everything and everyone. And in that connection, think about the times when you've felt most at peace in your life. I bet those moments were often accompanied by silence. Maybe it was a quiet morning on the beach, watching the sun rise. Maybe it was a silent walk in the woods, feeling the breeze on your face. Maybe it was sitting in a church or a temple, feeling the stillness wash over you. Whatever it was, that peace you felt was the peace of connection, the peace of alignment with the universe. And that's why silence is so important in practices like meditation and prayer. In silence, we become most receptive to spiritual guidance. When we pray or meditate, we are opening ourselves up to the divine, asking for guidance, seeking wisdom. But often, we forget that the most important part of prayer or meditation isn't the asking, but the listening. It's in the silence that follows that we receive the answers. It's in the quiet moments that we hear the gentle whispers of the universe, guiding us, comforting us, loving us. I want to invite you to consider your own spiritual practices. Do you take time for silence in your day? Do you allow yourself to be still and listen for that inner voice, the voice of your soul? And if not, what might change if you did? How might your connection to the divine deepen? You made silence a part of your spiritual practice. Let's pause here for a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let yourself settle into the silence. Feel the stillness within you, the peace that is always there. just waiting for you to notice it. This is the place where you connect with the divine. This is the space where you hear the voice of your soul. As we open our eyes and come back to this moment, let's remember that silence is not just a tool for our minds, but also a path for our spirits. It's a way to align with the universal flow of life, to feel the deep peace that comes from knowing we are a part of something much greater than ourselves. And as we explore how silence impacts our relationships and communication with others, let's carry this understanding with us, knowing that in silence, we find not only ourselves, but also a deeper connection to the world around us. Now let's shift our focus to how silence plays a role in our relationships and communication with others. It might seem a little counterintuitive to talk about silence in the context of communication. After all, communication is all about speaking, sharing, expressing ourselves, right? But here's the thing. Silence is one of the most powerful tools we have in building meaningful relationships. Silence allows us to truly listen and understand others, to be fully present with them in a way that words alone often cannot. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you felt truly heard, where you knew the person wasn't just listening to your words, but really hearing you, understanding you on a deeper level? That kind of listening doesn't happen when we're busy thinking about what we're going to say, next to when we're distracted by other thoughts. It happens in silence, in the space between words where we allow ourselves to fully connect with another person. Silence in communication isn't about not speaking, it's about being fully present. It's about giving the other person our undivided attention, listening with our whole being, not just our ears. When we are silent, we create a space for others to share their truth, to express themselves without fear of interruption or judgment. We give them the gift of our presence, and in doing so, we build trust, deepen our connection, and strengthen our relationships. Think about your own communication habits. How often do you find yourself listening to respond? Rather than listening to understand, how often do you interrupt thinking you already know what the other person is going to say? And how might your relationships change if you practiced more silence in your conversations, if you allowed yourself to truly listen, to be fully present with the people you care about? Silence can be a form of respect in our conversations. It shows the other person that we value what they have to say, that we are willing to set aside our own thoughts and just be with them in the moment. It's a way of saying, I see you, I hear you, and you matter to me. And that kind of respect, that kind of presence can transform our relationships. Let's explore how we can integrate silence into our daily lives, not just in our communication with others, but in everything we do. Because silence is not just something we practice in moments of reflection or conversation. It's a way of being, a foundation for living a more mindful, connected, and fulfilling life. Silence isn't just something we experience in those rare moments of stillness or meditation. It's something we can bring into every day, every moment, every interaction. When we make space for silence in our lives, we create more room for clarity, peace, and connection. So how do we begin to integrate more silence into our daily routines? One of the simplest ways is to start each day with a moment of silence. When you wake up in the morning, before reaching for your phone or turning on the TV, take a few minutes to sit quietly. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and just be. Notice how your body feels. Listen to the sounds around you and allow your mind to settle. This simple practice can set a peaceful tone for the rest of your day, helping you to move through the world with more intention and presence. Another wonderful way to bring more silence into your life is through mindful walking. Instead of rushing from place to place, take a few minutes to walk in silence. Pay attention to the sensation of your feet on the ground, the feeling of the air on your skin, the sounds of nature around you. Let go of any thoughts or worries and simply be present in the moment. This practice not only brings a sense of calm, but also helps you feel more connected to the world around you. You can also create dedicated silent periods throughout your day. It could be during your lunch break, where instead of scrolling through your phone, you sit quietly and enjoy your meal. Or in the evening, when you turn off all distractions for a few minutes and just sit in silence. These small moments of silence can have a big impact, helping you to reset, recharge, and reconnect with yourself. Of course, I know that incorporating more silence into your life can be challenging. We live in a noisy world, filled with constant demands and distractions. And for many of us, the idea of sitting in silence can feel uncomfortable or even daunting. We're so used to being busy, to filling every moment with activity, that silence can feel like a foreign concept. But here's the thing. The silence feels uncomfortable is often a sign that we need it the most. It's a sign that we've been running on autopilot, disconnected from our inner selves, lost in the noise of the world. And while it might feel strange at first, the more we practice silence, the more natural it becomes. We start to crave those quiet moments, to see them not as empty spaces, but as opportunities for connection, reflection, and growth. If you're finding it difficult to incorporate silence into your life, start small. Begin with just a minute or two of silence each day. Sit quietly and focus on your breath, or close your eyes and listen to the sounds around you. As you get more comfortable, gradually increase the time. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to practice silence. The important thing is to make space for it, to allow yourself to experience the stillness and to see what unfolds. I want you to take a moment now to imagine how your life might change if you made silence a regular part of your daily routine. Picture yourself waking up each morning and sitting in silence, feeling calm and centered before starting your day. Imagine taking a few minutes of silence in the middle of a busy day, allowing yourself to reset and recharge. Visualize yourself ending your day with a moment of quiet reflection, feeling at peace as you prepare for sleep. What benefits might you experience? How might your perspective shift? Maybe you'd feel more present, more connected to yourself and others. Maybe you'd find it easier to make decisions, to hear your inner voice, to trust your intuition. Maybe you'd feel more grounded, more at ease, more in tune with the world around you. The possibilities are endless, because when we create space for silence, we open ourselves up to all the gifts it has to offer. We invite more peace, more clarity, more connection into our lives. And we start to see the world in a new light with more understanding, compassion, and love. As we come to the close of our time together today, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about, the many ways in which silence can profoundly shape our lives. We've explored how silence is more than just the absence of sound. It's a tool for self-discovery, a space where we can connect with our deepest truths and hear the quiet whispers of our souls. We've seen how silence helps us focus our intentions and visualize our dreams, opening the door to manifestation and making those dreams a reality. We've talked about silence as a powerful ally in problem solving and decision making, providing the clarity we need to see solutions that might have been hidden by the noise and distractions of daily life. And we've journeyed into the spiritual dimension of silence, understanding how it allows us to connect with something greater than ourselves, to experience a sense of oneness with the universe, and to find a deep, abiding peace. We've also looked at how silence can transform our relationships. By being fully present with others and allowing space for true listening, we can deepen our connections and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. And finally, we discussed practical ways to integrate silence into our daily lives, even in the midst of a busy world, and the profound impact that even a few minutes of silence can have on our overall well-being. You see, silence isn't just a tool or a practice. It's a way of being. It's a path to a more fulfilling life, a life that is rich with meaning, connection, and peace. When we embrace silence, we give ourselves the opportunity to slow down, to be present, and to connect with the world around us and within us in a deeper way. We begin to see that everything we seek is already here, within us, waiting to be discovered. And silence is the key to unlocking it. I want you to think about what you truly desire in your life. Is it peace? Is it clarity? Is it a deeper connection with yourself and others? Is it a sense of purpose or direction? Whatever it is, know that silence can help you find it. Silence can help you hear your own voice, free from the noise of the world, and guide you to where you want to go. So, I encourage you to start embracing silence today. Make it a part of your daily routine, even if it's just for a few minutes. Find moments throughout your day where you can pause, take a deep breath, and just be. Notice the peace that arises in those moments, the clarity that comes, the connection you feel with yourself and the world around you. Remember, you don't have to wait for the perfect time or the perfect place to practice silence. You can start right now, right here. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to settle into the stillness. Feel the calm that washes over you, the peace that fills you, the sense of wholeness that emerges from within. This is the power of silence, and it's available to you anytime, anywhere. Through silence, you will gain everything you desire. You will find the answers you're looking for, the guidance you need, and the peace you seek. You will discover that you are already whole, already complete, already enough. And in that discovery, you will find the courage to live your life fully, authentically, and joyfully.